to the Hawkeye game preview, Redskins at Ravens. The ever-vaunted third preseason game is upon us, and we will take the Ravens on in the preseason Battle of the Beltway this Saturday at 7:30. But will the Skins be able to pull off another win with their hobbled roster? Will Jay Gruden keep his starters in despite losing so many already to injuries? And will the offensive line hold their own and leave the roller skates at home? We're here to give you our take. My name is Sean Conti. I'm joined today by Steve Thomas.
Hello, how are you guys tonight?
And Robbie Duncan.
How's it going, everybody?
Guys, this is a big one. I'm very excited. Everybody knows the third preseason game is a huge one. Before we jump into it, I definitely obviously want to get your takes, but let's do a quick full team injury update as things stand right at this moment. So, to get the obvious ones out of the way first, linebackers Junior Gillette and Adam Hayward are obviously out for the season, as are tight ends Niles Paul and Logan Paulson, and running back Silas Redd. Bashad Breeland will continue to remain out for a few weeks. Frank Kurst and Akeem Davis are suffering shoulder injury and hamstring injury, respectively. They'll be sidelined Saturday, as well as will Deshaun Jackson. On a slightly positive note, Ryan Kerrigan and Jamison Crowder are expected to make their preseason debuts Saturday, so that's exciting. And last but not least, Robert Griffin was cleared to play by an independent neurologist, so we will see him suit up on Saturday with the ones.
Thank God.
Very good.
Thank God, right.
Yeah.
The last thing I would mention is D. Hall and Jordan Reed, I believe, are both still maybes leading up to the game, so we will see how that shakes up as Saturday draws closer.
I think Jordan Reed is a permanent maybe.
Yeah. Good. That's
maybe
a really
next
good point.
week.
Yeah, maybe next year. So, anyways, guys, I want to get your takes on this first. So, it seems to me like through the first two preseason games this season, we have not been able to get anything going in the passing game or in the running game until the number twos, led by Kirk Cousins, come out. If that is the case again this week, what does that mean going forward?
If it's another case of that this week, then fans and media are going to have another fun week of criticizing and tweeting and gnashing of teeth. It's not going to be pretty.
Hashtag feeding frenzy.
Yeah, it's going to be burgundy and gold rising. It'll be a bloodbath for sure. But listen, maybe I'm crazy, but I do have some confidence here. I think if the O-line can get some solid protection down. Is Jackson out for sure? Out, or is he's out? Okay, that doesn't help us too much. But maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. But I really do think that it's possible that if the quarterback has 3 quarters to get in a rhythm, the offense is going to do a little something. I think. I don't think the Ravens' outstanding defense, but I don't think they're quite as talented as they were in years past. They've obviously lost Ray Lewis a year ago. Terrell Suggs is getting older, so I don't think I don't want to say they're all reputation, but I don't think they're as talented and as fearsome as in years past when we faced them. So I think we may be able to do something against them. We're not going to run the score up to 36 points on them or anything, but I think we'll be able to move the ball on them.
Yeah, Eagles kicked their ass last week, by the way.
Yeah, they're licking their wounds after last week. I was going to mention that. They've had kind of a rough start, it seems. Yeah. To mention some injuries that they're dealing with too. They have some issues along the offensive line. I think they didn't suit up enough people last week, and they lost 2 or 3 guys from the offensive line. So that is serious. I think they lost Eugene Monroe, James Hurst, and DeAndre Wesley. Nice. I think their other injury that they're suffering is they've got a cornerback problem with Ladarius Webb nursing a hamstring, and that is concerning to the team. So suffice to say, we have a serious injury problem, but they're licking their wounds too. So, I mean, maybe we can even it out a little bit.
Did you say they didn't suit up enough offensive linemen?
I believe so.
Who'd they throw out there?
Gosh, I forget.
I didn't see that. I didn't watch that game.
Other than those 2 guys. Yeah. Other than those 3 guys that they lost.
I seem to remember the Redskins having that problem against the Ravens even once a few years ago. Remember? Terrell Suggs out there screaming, "You're going to get your quarterback killed because we put in some scrubs."
Some scrubs.
Yeah, remember that?
Exactly.
Let's not relive that nightmare. I'm sorry I brought that up.
Yeah, eyes to the future, Steve.
But point is, you're talking about the bloodbath. We all know it's going to be a bloodbath. Although I'll say this, I think the media and the fans are prone to hyperbole in the D.C. area in particular. We saw a headline this week, is this Robert Griffin's most important game of Robert Griffin's career? And that's absurd, truly absurd. It's not the most important game of his career. It is important that he shows progress, but my goodness, he started a playoff game, for goodness sakes. That's just ridiculous.
And let me just throw out there, too, the last time Robert Griffin scored a touchdown in preseason was 2013. So it's not like him sucking in preseason is anything new. Let's not get too discouraged. I mean, it's obviously hard not to do that after seeing last week's fiasco, but let's just give it some time. Let me ask you guys this, along those lines. If he gets out there and he gets crushed repeatedly, play after play, are we leaving him in there?
I think Jay will be criticized yet again if he continues to leave him in there. I do think he should stay in there because he needs to learn from it. I'm one of the minority, I think, in that regard of Robert shouldn't have been in there in the fourth series for last game. But no, Robert needs to be in there. You know, if Tom Brady's taking a beating with this offensive line during a regular season game, they're not going to take him out. It's just something the quarterback has to, adjust to, whatever. If it means throwing it away quickly, whatever. I think he needs to be in there. He needs to take his lumps. I mean, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. You got to get better as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Jay is in a no-win situation almost in that regard. If he takes him out too early, it's the obvious, Robert Griffin needs experience. If he leaves him in too long, Jay wants to get him hurt. And I've been, I have railed about Jay Gruden at times on this show, but I think anybody who thinks that the coach is trying to get the quarterback hurt needs to get their head examined. It's
nobody plays football that way.
It's insultingly stupid. So I think what happens is, if the quarterback's getting crushed, maybe you need to make some in-game adjustments to the preseason game plan and start running the ball some more.
Or bench the offensive line that's playing shitty,
There you go. Do something. I don't think Jay needs to just stand there and go dirt and, let Griffin get killed every other play. Do something. But I do agree he needs to stay in there and play. Because the guy hadn't played that much. Again, he's thrown 13 passes this preseason so far. It was 20 last. Yeah, it does. He needs to throw 20 passes this game, I think, at least.
Yeah. Speaking of play calling stuff, it certainly seems like Jay Gruden has taken some risks through the first 2 weeks. He's called a couple of the same plays back to back, I guess, to just as an experiment to see if we can pull it off. Do you think we're going to see some more realistic game time play calling in this game?
No.
That's a good question, but I don't think we will. It's going to be still the same vanilla, drop back, throw, run right, run left type of offense.
Well, yeah.
I don't think we're going to see any kind of wrinkle until the backups come in.
No, I mean,
that shit is lulling me to sleep.
The only coach who ever did that was Steve Spurrier, who ran his offense in the preseason and killed everybody. And we all know where that, got us. I don't think they're going to run whatever wrinkles are in the playbook, they're not going to run them. And quite honestly, I don't think we need to. If we can get Griffin back to making decent plays, decent throws, running the offense in a competent manner, that's really all we need to see.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. I wanted to mention this too. So, our defensive line has looked. I know, Steve, you've had some criticisms of them, and they're fair. But I think they've looked pretty solid. I think the stats are we've allowed only 91 rushing yards through 2 games, which is pretty great. And that, combined with the fact that Baltimore's offensive line is a little banged up, could mean we see some good stuff. So I'm hoping that continues to be the case. I think we've got 9 sacks through these first 2 games, so hopefully we'll see a continuation of that.
3 of them from Houston Bates, who's done really well this preseason too.
That's right. That's right.
I haven't been critical of them. All my point has been is they haven't really been spectacular. And they've let the starting offenses for Cleveland and the Lions go run down the field and score points. That's all I meant. I don't think it's been a disaster by any means. They've been solid, but the fact of the matter is Cleveland's starting scored 10 points on them, and the Lions scored 3 points on them. That's all I meant. Yeah. I haven't seen spectacular play out of them. That's all. I think that's everything. That's the least of our worries.
I will say though that Jason Hatcher looks noticeably different. And I think that goes along with him being fully healthy for once. I think you can definitely tell last year he was really struggling to stay healthy, and I mean he was battling through it. But with Joe Kim, this guy that's here teaching him all these pass rush techniques and stuff, and this new scheme, letting him just attack, I think we're seeing a better Jason Hatcher this year too.
Yeah,
he sticks out on film to me.
Yeah, and it'll be great to have Kerrigan out there too. That could only really add to his success.
Yeah, it looks
let me just also say, sorry to see you go without even seeing you on the field at all, Junior Galette.
Yeah.
We hardly knew you. I doubt Scott's going to bring him back again next year.
You don't think so? Now, that's interesting. I was going to ask you guys that towards the end, but let's talk about that. Why not?
Just because, we kind of, for him playing at $750,000 for this year, that was a steal. But now he's being paid $750,000 for being injured.
Doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I hear you, but the salary part of it isn't Joe Barry's worry. Joe Barry doesn't care about salaries. He just cares about the pass rushers. I think to me, and you're the one that's been in the building of a major football program, Robbie, not me, but it seems to me that Junior Galette could help himself if he stays around the franchise. He stays in the meeting rooms. He does all that stuff. If he's engaged, it seems to me that the team would be more apt to remember that he's around and to keep him around. Because even if I can't remember honestly off the top of my head what's happening with his contract next year other than the Redskins have an option on him, but I doubt it's a humongous amount of money, even if it is a raise. So I think they could keep him as long as something crazy doesn't happen in the draft and they have the next coming of Bruce Smith or somebody roll in the building. They could always use another pass rusher. So I think he's got a shot. To me, his problem is the Achilles injury, really. How many times have we seen athleticism sapped when an Achilles goes? I think he's going to have to because what I saw from my unexpert eyes, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Robbie, what I think was special about him was his first step was just tremendous.
Yeah, they were talking about how right after the ball was snapped, he'd already be 3 yards in the backfield before the tackle can even get to him.
Yeah, and so if he loses that, he becomes Brian Arakpo,
Or Trent Murphy.
Or Trent Murphy, right. So he's going to have to prove he's Junior Galette again. That's his problem, I think.
And I mean, the sad thing is it's not really a loss because we didn't even really have him for it to be a loss. He hadn't been playing or anything. So it's really we're back to ground zero.
Yeah, it's kind of like losing the money that you stole from your friend. I mean, we never really had him. We never really saw him in the first place. We're back to Preston Smith and Trent Murphy, which is downright mediocre in some respects.
Well, we got those two, and then we got these young guys that continuously produce with Houston Bates and Jackson Jeffcoat. Maybe, I mean, it's wishful thinking, but point is they've made plays when they get their chance.
Hey, let me tell you.
Who knows?
Tell me honestly. I keep seeing Houston Bates make a ton of plays, but I don't know enough to know how good he really is because he's going against 3s and 4s. But I just see him out there making plays. What do you really think of him from an X's and O's standpoint?
Really, I mean, he's very good with his hands, but the thing is with him, he's one of those 110% effort guys. Like he's just nonstop, high motor, relentless type of player who just gives, everything he has on every play. Also, shout out to Conference USA. ODU's in that conference. He's from Louisiana Tech.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
So let's get the game preview part of that in here then. He's been playing with the 3s, and so I wonder, due to his good performance, if we're going to see him in the first half of the game.
I think we should.
Tomorrow.
He definitely should because even though he'd been playing with the 3s, he had gotten his shots with the 1s here and there. Him and Jackson Jeffcoat when Preston Smith and Trent Murphy, they were the starters when they had to come out for a break, a couple plays. The two of them came in with the 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
So they've been getting their reps with the starters here too. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know if they can keep both of them.
That was going to be my question. The thinking would be I guess that one of them will make the team, one will get.
Well, yeah. There's no way they're going to keep
squad.
5. They're not going to keep 5 outside linebackers, right?
No.
There's no way they're going to keep that many.
If I had to guess, I'd say Jeffcoat makes the team.
Right, just from previous experience.
Yeah, and Bates would be on the practice squad. That's my initial prediction. But
I
both
think
the guys have been really good.
I think for the fans out there that are listening, I think that if you want a position group to focus on the defense, I think that's the one to focus on. That's of interest simply because I think, like Robbie's been saying, Bates and Jeffcoat are going to get their shot, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this will be the last chance because you got to imagine you're not going to see many of the ones on either team in Week 4 here.
No,
for the
it's
Jags.
good. Well, the Jag game, you're going to see a lot of Houston Bates and Jackson Jeffcoat. It's going to be Smith.
No, but I mean against ones though.
Oh yeah, against ones. You're right. Yeah. Sorry.
So, I mean, get them in now. See what they can do in prime time because, I mean, you only have so much time to vet these guys before you have to cut the rosters down.
Yeah, keep your starters healthy.
God, yeah. I mean, just the sheer magnitude of all those injuries, I mean, it is depressing. They have been dropping like flies. Let's get in a couple other things here. What about defensive backfield? Anything you want to call out here? I mean, this is going to be a tough matchup. Joe Flacco's always the X factor, so let's see how much he tests the secondary. The man loves to pass, and I think they've got a banged-up running back situation there too, so we'll probably see a lot of passing.
Yeah, and I still want to see the safeties get tested. I don't think they've really been given their shot to really defend a pass much. It's been really a lot all over the middle and on the sideline against the corners. So I'd like to see Goldson and Duke Iheanacho get tested a little bit more.
Agreed.
You know
I still don't know what to think we have in him.
You know who's on the back of the Ravens roster is our very own Aldrick Robinson. Aldrick Robinson is at the tail end.
He's still in the league?
He's at the back end of the Ravens wide receiver roster, so we may see Robinson line up against some of our third and fourth stringers. Yeah, the Dunbars of the world.
I watched their game last week against Philly. He had, classic couple, 2 or 3 drops that he easily should have caught. So it would be fun to see him. It would be like old times.
From the game preview perspective, here's what I think. I think D'Angelo Hall is the X factor here. I think D'Angelo Hall.
He's returning.
Yeah, he's returning. Very likely, at least. I think he has something to prove. He still needs to show that he's recovered, as much of his athleticism and his quickness and his lateral agility as he can. Because if he's going to be a starter, he needs to show something. So I think he's the one to watch in our defensive secondary. Because Culver's going to be okay. I think we've seen him. The guys have been making plays for us.
I've seen enough.
Justin Rogers has been making plays. Kayshawn Jarrett's been making plays. He's lined up at both safety and corner. Those guys are going to be there. Even David Amerson has looked a little better. Bashad Breeland is going to be improved. I think D'Angelo Hall is the guy of the cornerback group, at least, who is the X factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree. What about other offensive positions? We talked a little bit about Griffin, but what do you expect to see out of the running game? It would be nice to see Alfred Morris break a couple nice ones.
Yeah, I want to see Brandon Scherf have a better game. I want to see him.
Good Lord, yes.
I want to see him be more stout and not get pushed back. I think he looked like he was still trying to process things last week. It just didn't look like he was 100% there. Like the gears were still grinding in his head. So I want to see him look more comfortable. I want to see him play like the nasty lineman that he normally is, back from his college days. And then I want to see Morgan Moses be better in the running game too. I feel like he has a lot to work on in his run blocking.
For me, I'm not too worried about Alfred Morris. I wouldn't care if he got one series and was out. I think we know what we have in Alfred Morris. What the interest?
It'd just be nice to see.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see. But I hope because we've been so battered with injuries, I'd much rather him get a few carries and get out and be safe. But to me, what's to watch out for is going to be the tight ends. Because number one, is Jordan Reed going to play, and is he going to play and stay healthy? Number one, but more interesting, we traded for this guy Derek Carrier. Don't know a darn thing about him really, and we have 4 or 5 guys behind him that basically. I mean, Ham looked pretty good last week. He made some plays, Jerron Ham, but those other guys I couldn't honestly tell you. So one of my guess is that Dixon, 2 of those guys are going to end up being NFL-worthy players, and I'm going to be interested to see who they are.
Yeah. Carrier's a fast tight end, so I'm curious to see how fast he actually is as a tight end on the field.
You have to think
like a 4.5.
Yeah, you have to think this is a guy that Scott McLuhan knows a lot about since he brought him to San Francisco. Hopefully this is one of the famous, McLuhan's hidden gems.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I think that's if the fans want something to watch out for on offense, I would recommend Scherf and I'd recommend the tight ends.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, on the depth chart, he's listed as the number 2 tight end behind Jordan Reed. So really, being the number 2 tight end behind Jordan Reed means you're the starter.
You're the number 1 tight end.
So, Derek Carrier, ladies and gentlemen, is our starter.
Yeah, and
don't let that fool you.
I don't want to be like a negative Nancy or anything, but Steve, I kind of doubt he's a hidden gem. This seems like a desperation. Let's get a guy for depth. I love the idea of a fast tight end, but on our team, I feel like it's more important to have a big guy than a quick guy. We've got a lot of quick, small receivers darting around there in the backfield. What we need is a big dude who can set the edge and put a block up, and I just don't know if we have that in him. So it'll be really nice to see this week, what exactly he is. I think he's pretty much a question mark.
Yeah, that's understandable seeing it that way. But I mean, what I have seen I kind of looked at training camp reports from San Fran, and there was at least one practice where Carrier had like an amazing day. He was like flashing all over the field.
Really?
He's a guy with potential, and potential can be a very dangerous word for any kind of player, because you don't always reach your potential, obviously. So
I mean,
it's going to be curious to watch.
From my perspective, I know San Francisco had a glut of tight ends, and I think it is possible that this guy does have some talent. I mean, San Francisco was not going to keep. They had like 5 quality tight ends, I think, on the roster there. So it is possible. Don't burst my bubble, man. I'm just gonna assume until I see otherwise that Scott McGloin knows what he's doing with this guy.
In Scott we trust.
There you go.
Yeah.
In Scott we trust.
I trust him until about halfway through this season. If he hasn't showed me much till then, I have my doubts about McGloin.
Yeah, don't worry. Redskins fans will turn on him too.
Oh yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
it happens.
I'm about
to
ready
everybody.
right now. Let's just do it, guys. Let's just blitz it.
Let's start now.
Yeah, McGloin sucks.
It happens to everybody when you're a Redskin.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention too. It seems like I think this is going to be the biggest test of our. Robbie, to go back to something you said, we haven't seen our safeties tested. I think that's going to happen this time. I think this is probably the best quarterback we've played so far in the preseason that we're going to face, and we're going to face him for the longest. So I think we're going to finally see what we've got in the defensive backfield there.
And I want to see some pressure on him too. I want to see us get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean that so far, has not been a huge issue for us. It seems so far. I mean, it seems like we're penetrating decently. Again, 9 sacks through 2 games isn't terrible.
Well, against most of those were the 2s and 3s getting it on the. We didn't really get a lot of sacks against the starters.
No,
yeah,
we didn't.
No, Jeff Code and Bates, like you said, but
yeah, I do want to see Flacco on the ground a little bit.
Well, and it's going to be good to see Kerrigan out there. Let's hope that Ryan Kerrigan can take advantage of Eugene Monroe. Or whoever's on the other side. I do. And listen, what I want to see more than anything actually is some pressure up the middle from our vaunted, revised, defensive front 3. That's what would help us most.
That's right.
Totally.
Lots of McGloin guys up there.
Oh, and unless are you switching gears? I'm sorry, I was about to go another direction.
Go for it. I'm jumping us.
What we didn't mention is Jamison Crowder. That's playing.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Hey, see, great minds think alike, man.
Perfect.
Jamison Crowder is going to play. We haven't, fans will remember that he has been the training camp hero of the first week or so before he got hurt. But what we're going to see is him in the return game. He's listed as the number 2 punt returner already, so we're going to see him get his shot at punt return and kick return. So I think that'll be good to see if he has any talent at it. But more importantly, he's another quality wide receiver. Our wide receiver group is stacked in terms of competitive candidates for the back end. And he's just another one. Crowder, Bell, Rashad Ross, all those guys all can play, and so now Crowder is going to get a shot.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know that might be listening, Crowder obviously was one of our draft picks this year, but we haven't really seen anything from him because he has a hamstring injury, and that's why I think we've been seeing so much Andre Roberts in the preseason so far, but that could very well change. I mean, I think this guy was looked at as a potential replacement for Roberts until the injury happened, so let's see what happens this game. It'll be very interesting. Mike Jones is in love with the dude. I don't know if you've been following Mike Jones's love affair for Crowder, but he's creaming his pants over him. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
I would perhaps phrase it another way, but
No, that's perfect.
Speaking of Jones, we haven't mentioned Matt Jones. He's been getting a lot of love from outside of the Redskins too. I think it was Evan Silva, I think is his last name. He's a big
NFL writer,
evaluator type player evaluator. He's in love with Matt Jones. He's like, I think he said he's his second favorite player of all preseason. He's very impressive.
Well, I think
it's
we
hard
need
not to be.
Well, yeah, but let's slow our roll here a little bit. We've been down this road with running backs also. I like Matt Jones. I don't mean to burst anybody's bubble. I think he's good. But I think we need, much like the hyperbole with the negative plays of Robert Griffin, let's slow the hyperbole with Matt Jones becoming the next Marshawn Lynch. We have not seen him play in the regular season yet. I think he's making good progress and he'll be a good back. But let's not get so overly excited about him because we haven't actually seen him play. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're totally right. The thing to be excited about, though, is the potential and that the promise is there that we have someone that can actually fill in if Alfred goes down, that can without really losing a beat. At least I see it that way. He's a very
I don't know if
quick cutter.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be Alfred Morris, but he does have a combination of great footwork along with size and power, and that is pretty rare.
And speed. I mean, in speed, that is the best combination of attributes you can have in a running back. Is a fast, big, strong dude, and that almost always works out well. I mean, sometimes it doesn't, obviously, if the guy's got, he just has no game. But I don't think that's the case with Matt Jones. I think the athleticism, the speed, and the strength, they're all really, really good things to say about him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a burner, but he certainly does have football speed, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's deceptively fast.
He's not a track star, but he's got a lot of football speed, I think.
Right, but neither is Alfred Morris. But Alfred Morris is one of those guys, and I think Matt Jones is the same. Where he's not fast in a dead sprint, but he doesn't lose time in those cuts. If you watch that Matt Jones's big run, I think from the first game, where he spun it outside and made something out of nothing. That was what you want to see.
I honestly think Matt Jones may be quicker than Alfred Morris is.
I think so too.
I think you're right.
I think so too.
What's great about Morris is he's got unbelievable vision and strength, and that's just tremendous. And Jones probably has a ways to go to match Morris on that. But in terms of raw physical attributes, I think you could probably take Jones over Morris for at least quickness and maybe power too.
Yeah, it's possible. This game could very well set the stage. What else do we want to preview leading up to Saturday here, guys?
The kickers, we're going to see Forbath and Long alternating kicks again. It looks like Forbath has got the job kind of wrapped up, I would assume, by this point.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Cobra Kai. Did we mention?
I don't want to see Tressway punt. By the way, don't want to see that. I want to see a score and move the ball.
God, please score a fucking touchdown.
I don't mind if he punts once, maybe. What we don't want to see is Tressway become the game MVP. Because we've had many games around here in DC where the punter has deserved the game MVP award, and I don't want to see that.
Hunter the punter.
Right.
Hunter Smith.
Yes, unfortunately.
Hunter the punter.
It's kind of sad that we remember the punters around here more than some of the players.
I was just going to say, there's nothing more Redskins than giving your punters cute little nicknames. That's so Redskins.
But in terms of game preview stuff, we hit the quarterbacks. We'll just say that we expect Cousins to play the fourth quarter. If all goes well and there's no injuries and things go according to plan, Griffin should play 3 quarters, Cousins should play 1, and McCoy should play 0. That's probably the plan. We'll see. I think Morris is going to come out of the game early, and we're going to see a lot of Matt Jones, I think.
Good.
And then in the fourth quarter, it's going to be the Trey Williams, Mac Brown show in terms of running backs. Yeah, Chris Thompson. That's right. The offensive line, I think Robbie's boy Ty Nsekhe is going to be the swing tackle this week. Wouldn't you think, over Smith?
Yes. Watch him at left tackle with the 2s and 3s. On Saturday. I'll definitely have my eye on him. Like I said, I've been the Ty Nsekhe drum banging on the drum for a while now with him, and it looks like Callahan's really catching on to it, giving him a shot over Willie Smith now. So you want to see him actually kind of own it now. I mean, you look at him, he's a brick wall for a lot of the guys that he was going against. So, he's got the size to match the potential that he has, and I'm excited for him if he really can step up and continue to be the good offensive lineman that I've seen him be.
Beautiful, and there you have it, folks. Ty Nsekhe, that is your dead-eye pick for who to watch out for going into Week 3 this Saturday. Any concluding thoughts?
My
Yes.
concluding thought is I hope to see a productive game from Robert Griffin to quell the noise. That's what I hope for.
At
Fingers
least
crossed,
to
baby.
just to keep the fire burning at a very dull fire, to kind of put it out for a little bit. My thing I want to see is better one-on-one tackling. We were doing a great job of getting to the football, but not very good at wrapping
Once
up.
we get there.
Once we get there. I mean, the first guy really has just done all he's done is just slow him down for the rest of the guys to clean him up. So I want to see better one-on-one tackling. I want to see us wrapping guys up, and then the rest of the team comes and helps him clean it up.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Let's get ready for Saturday. This has been the game recap, the game preview for Week 3. Make sure you check back with us after Saturday's game for the recap. Hopefully, we'll have the full crew there. Keep checking us out online for our written takes at thehogsty.com. Follow us on Twitter at thehogsty, and make sure you're sticking tuned for all of our exclusive interviews coming up. I can't tell you too much now, but we've got some big uns in the chamber, so be prepared. And we will see you next week.